Fat Loss for Busy Men, the 3-step plan. Sean here from Fit Fusion Brotherhood. I've been a part of hundreds of successful transformations and also some less than successful transformations. And I think one of the mistakes that a lot of people make, including a lot of coaches, is just focusing on the tactical aspect. What kind of workout should you be doing? How should you be eating? And obviously these things are very important, and I'm going to be talking about that in this video. But it's also important to consider the entire transformation, understanding that humans are not robots. It's not as simple as just telling people what to do and expecting them to follow it verbatim like it's no big deal. We have emotions, we have scheduling conflicts, we have things that just aren't going to line up perfectly. And at the end of the day, the reason that most people do not succeed when it comes to fat loss has much less to do with the physiology and much more to do with the psychology. So in this video, we're going to break down both of them, what to do, but also how to set yourself up for success before you start and what to do once you start. Step number 1 is vision. This might not seem important, but when you have a strong vision, you're really setting yourself up for success going forward. So there's a few things to consider when it comes to vision. The first question you want to ask yourself, and actually ask yourself, don't just ride the motivation that you one day feel like, I want to start working out. But the one question you want to ask yourself is, why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? I actually sent out an email the other day about a former client of mine, and we always have this conversation because it's important for people to understand why this is so important. I asked why it's important. He said he wants to feel good, he wants to look good. Kind of a surface level answer, very typical of what men will say because we don't like being vulnerable, we don't like to open up. But not my first rodeo, so dug a little deeper, asked him, really, why is it that this is so important to you? And then he actually started to tear up, and he explained how his son and his son's friends were making jokes about him, calling him fat, which alone is a strong enough motivator for most people to get started. But for him, what hurt so much was that he took so much pride in being a good father. That was the most important thing in his life. And to not be able to be seen as a good role model for his kids was it was just devastating for him. So it became a very strong why, and he understood what his purpose was, why he wanted to do this, and he became one of our most successful clients ever. So understanding why it's important it's a big thing, not just to get started, but also to kind of circle back and keep you going. Because one of the things that we hear all the time is, I'm just not motivated. These other guys are more motivated than I am. And I can tell you that's not the case. Motivation plays a very small role. If you're feeling motivated, obviously ride the wave, but it's not going to last. The reason people are able to stick on for as long as they do is not because they're motivated, but it's because they're inspired. And when they're inspired, that inevitable feeling when you lose the motivation, you're able to go back and remember why you started in the first place. So for that previous guy, every time he felt like he was losing motivation, he would just remember what it feels like to not be a good role model for his kids. So understanding your why, having a strong vision is very important. So we typically look at it as like a dream scenario, right? So how would this look like in a few years if I were to actually do everything? But an equally important question to ask yourself is, what if you don't take action? What's the cost of inaction? Because things aren't just going to stay the same. They're actually going to go worse in the wrong direction. So yes, having that dream vision in a few years is great, but also asking yourself the hard question of, if I don't do this, what's that going to look like? Because at the end of the day, humans are very fear adverse. We're much more likely to try to be motivated by running away from pain rather than running towards something aspirational. So if you have that pain point that's kind of inspiring you to get started, you can use that as fuel, and you can use that as something that'll drive you in a positive way, not just beating yourself up about it. And then also just really picturing exactly what you want to look like, how you want to feel, and giving you that positive vibe to really get started. So step number 1, it's a very important thing. This is where you start taking your before pictures, you address the current reality, as painful and uncomfortable as it is, but you also start to get a very hopeful outlook for the future. So step 1, vision. Step 2 is strategy and execution. So this is the meat and potatoes. This is where everyone tends to focus on, and of course this is important. So at the end of the day, most people fail because they can't stick with it. It's not that they're not doing the right things. With that being said, if you're not doing the right things, it doesn't matter. All of the effort in the world is not going to get you where you want to be. And this video is all about being a busy man. So if you're a busy guy, then you don't want to waste your time doing unnecessary stuff. So let's get into it. Okay, so at the end of the day, the good news is fat loss is simple. Not easy, but simple, because all you need to get into fat loss is a calorie deficit. Now, there's some good ways and some bad ways to go about it, but that's the most important thing. So what we do with our programs is we incorporate 3 things that are non-negotiable for our clients. You can track them, you don't have to track them, but you must understand their importance. Number 1 is strength training. So strength training isn't going to be a fat loss catalyst to the same degree that nutrition will be, but it's going to give you that physique that you want. Because if you're looking to lose weight, you're not looking to be just a smaller version of your current physique. You probably want to make it look a little bit different as well, but you're also going to be healthier and you're going to be feeling better. So strength training, you don't have to waste a ton of time at the gym. 3 to 5 days per week, 40 to 60 minutes per session. That's all you need. If you get a program that calls for much more than that, don't waste your time. 3 to 5 days per week, 40 to 60 minutes strength training. Number 2, this is what the nutrition part of it, understanding and keeping account your calories and your protein. Like I mentioned earlier, calorie deficit is the only thing that you need to get into fat loss. Now, there are other important elements, but at the end of the day, if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not going to lose weight. And then protein, it's going to help for a few reasons. It's going to help you burn more calories. It's going to help you feel full. It's also going to help with that desired physique that you're looking for. So having enough protein is going to be important. If you are curious with regards to numbers and you haven't heard our videos before, general rule of thumb for calories, multiply your body weight times 10. So if you're 180 pounds, your calorie goal would be 1,800 calories per day. For protein, 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you're 180 pounds, anywhere between like 160 to 180 grams of protein per day would be good to go for. And then the third element here, and this is where a lot of guys kind of slip up, is daily movement or steps. We recommend you track your steps because it's such a good indicator of just how active you are and how many additional calories you're burning. A lot of guys think the most effective and efficient ways to burn calories is through exercise, but it's actually through daily movement. So we recommend our guys get at least 10,000 steps per day, but it can be totally different for everyone else. So even though this is the framework that we operate under, the cool thing is there's so many different ways you can do that, right? There's so many different strength workouts you can do. There's so many different ways to prioritize your calories and your protein. There's so many ways to get steps. It's not just one size fits all, because at the end of the day, understanding what works is important, but understanding what works for your lifestyle and your own personality is equally important if you want long-term success. So the framework here, the foundation, strength training, calories and protein, and steps, you can choose how you would kind of want to situate that amongst yourselves. And then step 3, probably the most important thing here, is accountability. I've talked about it to death. It is the most important thing. The reason that people fail is because they can't stick to it. The reason people can't stick to it is because they have no accountability. So there's a few things that you can do to be accountable, but it's absolutely crucial that you factor this in, because you will lose motivation, you will want to quit, and if you do not have systems in place to hold you to it, it's going to happen. So there's a few things that you can do. Number 1, you can start tracking. So track your workouts, even check off a day that you went to the gym. Track your weights, your reps, your sets, your calories, your protein, whatever it is, track, but have something that you can actually look to. You can also track your body weight. So every morning you hop on the scale, it's added accountability, and it's also a metric to determine whether or not you are progressing. Number 2, support. So either having friends or family members that are encouraging you, doing it with you on a journey, or even having a coach or community that's kind of holding your hand and helping you out. But having support is really important, because sometimes when you're losing that motivation, when you're not feeling like it, other people can really lift you up. And then number 3 here, and this one's very important, is consequences. So consequences can be knowing that you have to send check-ins to a coach. It could be doing a social media post, just kind of letting people know how you're doing. But consequences are important because humans are tribal animals. We are tribal creatures, I should say. We want the validation and the social proof of others around, and we feel like shame and embarrassed if we're not holding ourselves to the account that we said we were going to do. So have an accountability buddy, have a coach, have someone or something where there are consequences. It could be as simple as just not feeling good about yourself if you don't necessarily accomplish what you said you would. And you don't have to beat yourself up, but have something or someone that's going to hold you to it. Other parts of accountability you can do Minding your environment is very important. This way you don't have to rely on discipline as much. So have no trigger foods in your house. Do everything you can to make good habits easy, bad habits hard, and just try to make everything as easy for yourself as possible, because your environment is ultimately going to really dictate the other 23 hours of the day that you aren't at the gym, and that you're going to need to have those really good systems. And then finally, being proactive. So knowing what your plan is beforehand. Like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And you don't want to be that person who wakes up with good intentions, but then the day gets away from you and all of a sudden you come home, you're hungry, you're tired, and you're ordering on Uber Eats, and everything that you work towards all week is flushed down the drain, right? So you should know exactly what your workouts are going to look like, when they're going to be, what your nutrition is going to look like, what happens if things get busy, what happens. You have all of these contingency plans for that accountability. Now, for the next level of accountability, of course, you would be talking about actually having someone there for you every day to kind of check in on you. But if you don't have that, make sure you have your own systems in place, because at the end of the day, we fail because we can't stick to the program, not because we don't have a good program. Okay, so if you're a busy guy listening to this right now and you want to lose fat, it's important that you don't waste your time doing things that don't work, or doing things that just aren't sustainable, because you're going to end up in the same boat over and over and over again. So what I want you to think about today is devising your 3-step plan to help you go from where you are now to where you would love to be in maybe 3, 6, 9 months down the road. Step 1, create a vision. Make sure you know exactly what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it. Step 2, this is where you come up with the strategizing and execution. What are your workouts going to look like? What's your nutrition going to look like? We recommend strength training, track your steps, calories and protein on point. You can kind of figure that out amongst yourselves. And then step 3, accountability. So how are you going to make sure that whatever it is that you agree on doing, that you're going to stick with it? And don't just rely on willpower. Make sure you have systems. The more you have in place, the better. Make sure you have consequences as well, and make sure that you know that whatever it is that you set yourself out to do, that you're going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy videos like this, do us a huge favor, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.